This video is created for educational and documentary purpose only. All narration, visual and descriptions are original and AI generated. This content does not promote violence or conflict and focus solely on aviation, technology, history and engineering innovation.
Imagine an aircraft so massive that it can carry entire tanks, helicopters, and cargo planes inside itself and still fly across continents without stopping. This is not science fiction. This is not a concept design. This is the C-5 Super Galaxy, the largest military transport aircraft ever operated by the United States Air Force. When this giant rolls onto a runway, the ground trembles. When its nose opens, history rolls out. Today, you're about to discover the untold story of America's flying giant. How it was built, why it changed global airlift forever, and why even decades later nothing truly replaces it. Why the world needed the C-5. In the early 1960s, the world was changing fast. The United States needed a way to move enormous equipment across the globe. Quickly, not by sea, not by slow cargo routes, but by air, directly to where it was needed. Existing transport aircraft were simply too small. The U.S. Air Force wanted something radical. A plane that could carry oversized cargo, a plane that could land on semi-prepared runways, a plane that could fly intercontinental distances, a plane that could change global logistics overnight. What they asked for sounded impossible, but Lockheed answered. Birth of a giant. In 1968, the impossible took shape. The C-5 Galaxy was born, later modernized into the C-5 Super Galaxy. It wasn't just big, it was record-breaking. This aircraft introduced one of the largest wings ever built, a cargo hold longer than a basketball court, landing gear with 28 wheels, a nose and tail that could both open for drive-through loading. Nothing like this had ever flown before. Engineers were pushing the limits of structural design, materials science, aerodynamics, human imagination. Size that defies belief. Let's understand the scale. The C-5 Super Galaxy is longer than a football field. Its wingspan is wider than many commercial jets. Its cargo bay can fit main battle tanks, armored vehicles, helicopters, entire field hospitals. You don't load cargo into a C-5, you drive cities into it. And the most incredible part? It can be loaded from both ends at the same time. The genius of the opening nose. One of the C-5's most iconic features is its opening nose. The front of the aircraft lifts upward, creating a straight path into the cargo bay. At the same time, the rear door can open downward. This allows faster loading, heavier cargo, reduced ground equipment. This single design choice saved hours on every mission, turning the aircraft into a true global responder. A new era of global reach. Before the C-5, moving massive equipment overseas took weeks. With the C-5, it took hours. This aircraft redefined rapid deployment, strategic airlift, emergency response. From humanitarian aid to large-scale logistics, the C-5 became a flying bridge between continents. It could land, unload, and leave, often before anyone realized it had arrived. From galaxy to super galaxy, time moves on but legends evolve. The original C-5 was powerful, but technology improved. So the aircraft underwent one of the most ambitious modernization programs ever. The result? The C-5M Super Galaxy. Upgrades included new high-efficiency engines, modern digital avionics, improved reliability, increased payload capacity, reduced maintenance time. This wasn't a patch. It was a rebirth. Power that lifts the impossible. The engines of the Super Galaxy changed everything. More thrust, better fuel efficiency, quieter operation, longer range. These upgrades allowed the C-5M to take off from shorter runways, climb faster, fly farther with heavier loads. The aircraft became stronger, smarter, and more dependable than ever before.
The human side of the giant.
Flying the C-5 isn't just piloting an aircraft. It's managing a moving ecosystem. Pilots, engineers, loadmasters, all trained to operate one of the most complex flying machines ever built. Inside the cockpit, advanced flight displays, automated systems, redundant safety layers. Despite its size, the Super Galaxy handles with precision and control, proving that even giants can be graceful. Missions that made history. Over decades of service, the C-5 has been everywhere. It has delivered disaster relief supplies, medical equipment, infrastructure components, critical humanitarian aid, often arriving where no other aircraft could. Its presence alone signals capability, reach, and readiness. Missions that defined a legend. The true value of the C-5 supergalaxy is not measured on paper. It is measured in moments when time mattered, when no other aircraft could do the job. From its earliest years, the C-5 became the backbone of long-distance heavy transport. When oversized cargo had to move fast, the supergalaxy answered. Entire fleets of vehicles, radar systems, helicopters, and infrastructure components were delivered across oceans in a single flight. What once required ships and weeks was now completed in hours. This aircraft didn't just support missions. It enabled them. Humanitarian power from the sky. While often associated with military logistics, the C-5 supergalaxy has played a critical role in humanitarian operations. After major natural disasters, airports are often damaged. Supply chains are broken and time is limited. The C-5 can deliver massive generators, water purification systems, mobile hospitals, emergency vehicles, all in a single landing. When runways were short on equipment but long enough for landing, the supergalaxy brought hope, not just cargo. This ability turned the aircraft into a global responder, trusted not only for strength but reliability. Engineering challenges and evolution. Building the world's largest military transport aircraft was never easy. Early versions of the C-5 faced challenges related to structural stress, maintenance complexity, engine efficiency. Instead of retiring the aircraft, engineers chose a different path: evolution. The C-5M supergalaxy upgrade program transformed the aircraft from a Cold War giant into a 21st century platform. This decision saved billions and extended the aircraft's operational life for decades. Why modernization mattered. Modern conflicts and missions demand faster response, higher reliability, lower operational costs. The supergalaxy upgrades delivered exactly that. New engines reduced fuel consumption while increasing thrust. Advanced avionics improved situational awareness. Digital systems reduced pilot workload and increased safety. The result was an aircraft that outperformed its original design, something extremely rare in aviation history. C-5 vs modern transport aircraft. Even today, comparisons are inevitable. Other transport aircraft are faster on shorter routes, more efficient for medium loads, easier to maintain, but when it comes to sheer size and payload, the C-5 stands alone. There are cargo items that cannot fit in any other aircraft, cannot be broken down, cannot wait for sea transport. For these missions, the supergalaxy has no substitute. The logistics masterpiece. Every C-5 mission is planned like a puzzle. Loadmasters calculate weight distribution, center of gravity, loading sequence. The aircraft's kneeling landing gear allows the cargo floor to lower, simplifying loading and reducing ground equipment needs. This flexibility is one of the reasons the C-5 remains relevant decades after its first flight. Training to fly a giant. Operating the C-5 supergalaxy requires elite training. Pilots and crew must understand large aircraft aerodynamics, complex systems management, long-range flight planning. Despite its size, crews often describe the supergalaxy as surprisingly smooth and stable, especially at cruise altitude. It is a giant that listens to its pilots. Range, endurance, and global access. The C-5M supergalaxy can fly intercontinental distances without refueling, even while carrying enormous loads. This means fewer stops, faster mission completion, reduced logistical risk. In global operations, this endurance makes the difference between success and delay. A symbol of American airlift power. Beyond numbers and specifications, the C-5 represents something larger. It symbolizes strategic reach, industrial capability, engineering ambition. When the supergalaxy arrives, it sends a clear message. Distance is no longer a barrier. The future of the supergalaxy. As newer aircraft enter service, the role of the C-5 becomes more specialized, not smaller. It will continue to handle the largest cargo, the heaviest loads, the most demanding missions. Plans ensure the supergalaxy remains operational well into the future, evolving alongside modern needs. Why the C-5 still matters. The C-5 Super Galaxy is not about speed or stealth. It is about capability. It exists to do what others cannot. In a world where logistics decide outcomes, the Super Galaxy remains one of the most important aircraft ever built.